All right, good morning, everybody. Got my Mark Martin coffee mug here. That's how you know it's NASCAR race day. So excited to break down the slate, start building some lines, and what's today's race. So, how can you help us today? If you want to like, comment, share, retweet this, it allows us to get to more people. If you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would be greatly appreciated. We're only like 70 subscribers away from 1,000, which has been our goal from day one. Make sure you're following us over on X too. It's at Fast Cars FM. We're not always able to get a video out for the Xfinity series and the truck series. So it's a good opportunity to go over there and kind of see how we're attacking those slates and just the Cup Series slate too, if you want to use this as a reference when you're building lines. Then finally, hey, if you had a good day, good weekend, you just want to say thanks, show your appreciation a little bit more. There's a couple of links there for PayPal and Venmo. So let's talk about the race strategy and initial thoughts here. We got a 95 lap race, so not that many. It's a road course. The drivers are going to get pretty spread out. Cautions, usually we don't see too many of them outside of the stage breaks unless something crazy happens. So because of that, just like we've been kind of talking about with Daytona and Atlanta to a certain extent, like Dominator points, not really as much of a priority this weekend. Um, Really, what you really want to focus on is just who do you think can finish well? I want to get six drivers in my line that I think have good finishing potential, regardless really of where they start. But ideally, I'd like them to give us some place differential upside, or if they can lead some laps, like, that's great. It's not a ton of points, but still points nonetheless. So really today is about finishing upside and place differential upside. So really just trying to get as many drivers in my line that I think have like top 10, top 15, if not race winning upside. Um, so let's break it down. Let's talk about some of these, right? So you got Byron Reddick, SVG, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Chase Elliott up there in the expensive range. So for me, based off of what we just talked about with trying to get some drivers that give you good finishing potential and place differential upside, the two obvious plays here are going to be Byron and Bell because they fit the criteria of both of them. So I really like them today. I think they're going to be popular. I think they're a little bit safer than some of these other drivers around here, but not that these other drivers are bad plays by any means. Like Reddick starts on the pole, he has a good chance of being a primary lap leader, kind of just like Connor Zilisch was for the Xfinity series. So, he can lead a lot of laps. He can win this race. He can score well. SVG is right there as well. He's one of the better, if not the best road course racer that we have in the field. Gives you a little bit of place differential upside. Larson, a lot of people think of SVG, Reddick, AJ, Elliott, but Larson's pretty good at the road courses too. So, you're going to see a lot of high and medium interest for these drivers. So, if I was just building one line, I'm going to lean more on the high drivers because they're a little bit safer. But I think for tournaments, I think you can get a little bit different, sprinkling in some Reddick, some SVG, some Larson, some Elliott. Yeah, Elliott starts third. He's not won in the next gen era on the road courses, but it's not like he's been bad either. And it's probably only a matter of time before he does get a win in the next gen era on the road courses, especially with how many there are on the season. So for me, I really just like mixing and matching up here. There isn't one driver I'm like, oh, I wouldn't play this guy. But if I had to pick, I'm going to lean on Byron and Bell, mainly just because of their place differential upside that they have and the abilities, how we've seen them perform on road courses. Byron won this race last year. Um, Getting down to the 8K range, a lot of guys here I like too. I think you can really just, if you want to build your entire line out of the 8K range, I'm totally fine with that. You got AJ Allmendinger, Connor Zilisch, Ross Chastain, Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman, Chris Buescher, Austin Cindric. So like really basically anyone from 8K up, I think is a great play. I'm going to try to, I'm going to have ownership to all these guys. And you might say, well, that's not helpful at all. But that's really, how it is in terms of this slate and in terms of how I'm looking at it. So, AJ's been really good on road courses, gives you a little bit of place differential upside, not as much as Bell and Byron, but he's cheaper than those guys. So he's a little bit easier, to get in the lines. And maybe you sacrifice a Byron or Bell. That way you can get a primary lap leader in there, maybe like a Reddick or Larson, SVG, and Elliott's. Um, Connor Zilisch, yeah, he's making his rookie debut, but it's crazy to see, the speed that he has in practice and in qualifying. So there's always risk, playing a rookie, making his debut. He even made some mistakes yesterday in the Xfinity Series race, damaged his car, and he still won. Now, yeah, the Xfinity Series cars are a lot different than the Cup Series cars, but he got some extra track time on the new layout. I think that track time should help him today. He also has some really good teammates to lean on for some guidance and advice. Ross Chastain, if you look at the stats at COTA, he's probably one of the best, if not the best here. He has a win here. He starts ninth, so people might be a little bit afraid to play him, a little bit more of a tournament play. Ty Gibbs doesn't always run the best, but if you look at his COTA and his next gen stats, they're actually pretty good. So I think he could potentially get overlooked today, especially with how strong some of these other plays are around him. So I really like him for tournaments. And then the cash games options, for tournaments too, but these guys are all going to be popular. You got Bowman, Busher, and Cindric. All of them have been really, really good on road courses. Bowman has been very good at COTA specifically. Um, all of them start deep in the field, give us place differential upside. It's really easy to get all of these drivers in a line. I will say for tournaments, though, I think a lot of people are going to be stacking these plays. So, maybe only getting to one or two of them for tournaments might be a good way to get a little bit different. But I love the 8K range today. A bulk of my lines are just really focusing around the 8K range, and then maybe getting to one or two, 9, 10K drivers if you can. Um, but even if you are, paying up for all 8K and 9K drivers, you do have to come down a little bit on the slate. But you'll see, like, I'm a lot higher, from the 8 and 9K range than I am really anyone else. So 7K, you got Blaney, Bush, Suarez, McDowell, Briscoe, Logano, Hamlin, and Hocevar. So for me, here it's really just about place differential, I think. If you can't get to Cindric, Busher, Bowman, or you're looking for some pivot options, I would kind of come down to this range. So you got Blaney, starts 25th, not always known to be the best road course guy. Penske isn't a great road course program, but there's still, good equipment. He's still Ryan Blaney, and he's still starting in the second half of the field, and he's only $7,800, so I don't mind that. I'm really not getting the Kyle Busch or Daniel Suarez today. Yes, they had good qualifying runs, but I don't really see them being lap leaders, and I don't really know if they can finish there versus like the Larsons, the Elliots, the SVGs, the Reddicks that start, kind of around this range too. I just have more confidence in them to, lay down fast laps or be a lap leader or finish, inside the top five, inside the top 10. Bush and Suarez can certainly do that. I just think they carry a little bit more risk. Now, McDowell has been one of the best road course racers in the next gen era. Be curious to see how he does on the Spire, 71 car today. But, for only $7,500, I feel like you're getting some pretty good value with McDowell. So I really like him today for tournaments. Um, Briscoe's kind of in that same boat, not as good on the road courses as McDowell's been, but he is in the JGR equipment, which is the better of the two. So I don't mind that. And then Logano, he's kind of like Blaney. Can't afford the Bushers, the Bowmans, the Cindrics. You want to get a little bit different, or maybe you're paying up to get a couple 9K drivers in your line. You need to come down a little bit lower. I like Logano a lot too. Basically the same play as Blaney, just a little bit cheaper. And then I'm really not getting the Denny Hamlin today. He's not really known to be a road course guy in the next gen era, and I don't really love where he qualified. You can kind of see that reflected in his price for only $7,100. Hocevar starts a little bit too far forward for me. Brad Keselowski has also been a guy that has really struggled in the next gen era. So at least on the road courses. So he starts kind of deep in the field. I think he finishes around there. It's crazy to see Bubba Wallace get on the pole, or not the pole, but the front row for qualifying. Qualifying was a little interesting the way that the format was. But he still starts, on the front row, and he'll admit that he is not a good road course guy. But 2311 certainly has a good road course program. But for DFS purposes, I don't see Bubba Wallace going out there and taking the lead away from Reddick or Elliott or Larson or SVG or, some of those other guys that are out there. So not really getting to him. Now, Todd Gilliland, maybe if you're getting, building 20 lines or 150 max, maybe you can sprinkle him in. He has been pretty good on the road courses, and Front Row has a pretty good road course program, especially with how much McDowell was able to help them over the years. But he starts 10th, so it's kind of a tough starting spot. Cole Custer, I don't mind him at all. He actually had some decent times in practice, suggesting he can get a top 20 today. Um, so I actually don't think you need to come down this low on the slate, but if you do, I don't mind going to Custer, mainly because of the place differential upside he offers. Really not getting to Zane Smith. I just don't really feel like there's a reason to play him when you can play Custer or even play Haley that's right next to him. So Haley also had decent practice times like Custer. Good value option. Both Custer and Haley have top 20 upside today. Um, Josh Berry has not been good on the road courses. John Hunter Nemechek hasn't been that good. Austin Dillon, I feel like he's got to kind of start and finish around, 27th. Noah Gregson starts a little bit too far forward. Brian Priest is kind of, not really the best on the road courses. You see that reflected in his price. Stenhouse kind of starts right around where he should finish. But someone that I am actually interested in a little bit would be Riley Herbst. Again, I don't think you need to come down this low on the slate, but if you are, building all the studs and you're really top heavy today from a salary standpoint, Herb starts deep and he actually had pretty good speed. His qualifying time was disallowed, so he probably would have started a lot further forward, like his other 2311 teammates. He's only $5,400. He's basically starts DFL almost. Um, pretty safe in terms of being able to move forward. Eric Jones, really not getting to him, another guy that has just struggled in the next gen era on the road courses. And then Ty Dillon, starts 34th. Again, you don't really need to come down this low. Um, Let me schedule that restart for tonight. Don't want that to end the video. You don't really need to come down this low, but I think Herbst will have the higher finishing, potential position. But, Dillon was decent in practice. So again, if you need these punt plays, I don't mind coming to Herbst or Dillon. And we're just not getting to Cody Ware. He starts DFL, but he's just been awful on the road courses. So that's going to do it for COTA. I know there's a lot of high, medium interest, especially up top, which might not be super helpful, but hopefully this does help you guys. I am not going to be around next weekend, so there will be no videos for Phoenix. We should still be able to get some spreadsheets out, I hope. Not sure, but make sure you're just following us over on X. But thank you guys. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the race, and best of luck.